Well, let's talk about this even more now. For some additional analysis, a very good friend of this program joins us now. Loyola Marymount political science professor Dr. Fernando Guerra is here. Good evening to you. Thank you so much for being here.
No, thank you.
Two takeaways that I had from this is that it was very substantive.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that in quite a while, it seems like. But at the same time, for the first time, it seemed that Trump, to me, was vulnerable. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think he was on his heels a little bit. It was the most effective 1-2 punch that I've seen. Rubio hit him first, and then Cruz would come in. And so that double whammy, I think, put him back. You know, you saw earlier in the week where he tried to be very presidential, being in front of the flags with the governor behind him. But he just can't help himself. I think the strategy was for him to present himself as presidential, but because of Rubio and Cruz attacking him, he just had to go with responding in kind.
Well, I think Professor Guerra, one of the things that was pretty glaring, and Jeff pointing out his vulnerability, is the fact that tonight Fox News presented a lot of visual help to back up some of the things they were attacking Trump with, like the facts when it came to Trump University and the class action lawsuit that is against him, also where he stands on immigration and foreign policy. They queued up old sound bites of him saying one thing and now today saying another thing. They really chipped away at the rumors that he just really wasn't of much substance. And tonight, they kind of proved that a little bit.
Well, and it almost seemed like Fox was another debater there. I mean, we didn't even miss Carson at all, obviously. Carson had as good a debate today as he's had in the last 2 or 3. But Fox really took on Trump. They didn't do any of those graphics for anybody else. And it almost seemed like they were really attacking him to some extent. And shows that they were not just out there to help Trump. So no one can accuse Fox of being on Trump's side, that is for sure. And I'm surprised in the programming afterwards that Trump didn't come out after Fox.
His opponents need a big win somewhere. Did they get it tonight?
No, I mean, I think there were 3 winners. I think in terms of substance, Kasich won. I mean, if you just, if this was the first debate, you would say Kasich won in terms of substance. Of course, it's not the first debate. I think Cruz also won in the way his tactic of coming in second and almost seemed to be moderating and staying above the fray, but yet putting in his points. And I think Trump won in the sense that nothing's really changed. There was no big blow here. I mean, they've attacked Trump on, you know, the university, on his character, on bullying, on policy, and nothing seems to work. So Trump stayed there. The one I think that lost to some extent was Rubio. He didn't distinguish himself. He didn't have as great a debate. His voice was kind of raspy. That didn't help. And so I think that the only one that didn't have a good night was Rubio.
So, Fernando, let's talk a little bit about why do we think that they're attacking him at this point in time? He's been a candidate. We've had these debates all along. This could have been going on a month ago.
Oh, I think so many assumed that he would go away, and they didn't want to alienate him or his supporters. They were going to want to get the endorsement of Trump when he dropped out, and everybody miscalculated. I mean, literally, if Cruz, Rubio, Bush, and others had known that he was going to be this strong, they would have attacked him much earlier. What you've seen in the last 2 debates, you would have seen by the second or third debate. Total miscalculation, unpredictability. No one saw this coming except for Trump himself.
But you know who had the best strategy tonight, in my opinion, was Cruz. The way he just sat back, let everybody duke it out, hurl the insults against each other, even with Fox News putting up all the numbers and the graphics and the things that don't lie, that showed proof that Trump said this, Trump said that. Cruz finally stepped in at the very end and said, is this what you want?
He seemed a lot more calm. He seemed a lot more as part of the establishment to some extent, and made Rubio seem a lot more desperate. Always Rubio coming out, being the first one to attack Trump, and then Cruz subtly coming in at the end and closing that attack. So I agree with you. I think Cruz was the winner.
He mentioned Hillary Clinton. He said, I haven't even started on her yet,
You know what?
Did he give away his plan, do you think?
I think to some extent he verbalized it, what we all expect. It was very clear. He says, I haven't even begun working on her, and you'll see how the polls will change. And it shows what he did to Bush and what he's trying to do to Rubio. And he's telegraphing that he's going to go on the attack. And unlike the Republican candidates who weren't ready for that, I'm sure Hillary Clinton and the Democrats are already preparing for that attack.
And real quick, we're out of time, but I want to get your opinion on this. Romney came out today. Will that make any difference at all in this?
I mean, I actually think it to some extent solidifies the Trump supporters. And if there if he had come out and endorsed somebody or had some other aspect to it where really you could focus on mobilizing the anti-Trump folks, that would have been much more effective. But without that, it was just another person saying, hey, Trump has no policy, he's had no character, he's a bully, etc. Don't vote for him. But you're not telling who to vote for or why.
Thank you so much for your time and your expertise.
No, thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.